Welcome to the Weekly Spanish Review for Mr. Jones's class. This is for Spanish 2. This week, we got to look at some of the differences between ser and estar. Now, both of these verbs in Spanish mean to be, but they are unique and they're very different. So let's take a look down the first side and just see the conjugations for ser. So we've got yo soy, which is I am, tú eres, you are, él, ella, ustedes, nosotros somos, ellos, ustedes son. As you learned last year in Spanish 1, ser can be used to describe for character traits, adjectives, also to describe, like if we wanted to say, I am tall, yo soy alto. That's a permanent trait. We could also say, I am American. Yo soy americano. Those were some of the things that we learned last year. Now this year in Spanish 2, we're also going to get to learn estar, which we started this week. Estar, unlike ser, is temporary. It can be used to describe a state, a condition. So like one of our new words we could use is cansado. So if I wanted to say you are tired, that's just for right now, it's temporary. We would say tú estás cansado. Now let's take a look at some of the conjugations. Again, this means I am, but this is temporary. So yo estoy, tú estás, él, ella, usted está, nosotros estamos, ellos, ustedes están. Now, in addition to ser and estar this week, we also continued with vocabulary. We learned some words like el médico, which is doctor, la consulta, which is doctor's office. You could also say la oficina del doctor. Enfermo, sick, el paciente, patient. Vender, to sell, and recetar, to prescribe. So we want to put into practice the new vocabulary and also with the new grammar that we're learning. So if we go back and remember, ser are some of those traits, some of those permanent things that don't change. So if we want to say the doctor is hardworking, we would use ser, and we would say el médico es ambicioso. Remember, going back to ser, those are permanent. So instead of saying está, which would mean in the moment, we say el médico es ambicioso. Now let's try one with estar. A few minutes ago we talked about estar being temporary, or for example in this case, let's say the doctor is in the office. So we know our vocabulary, the doctor, and now we need to say is. But remember, this is impermanent, this is temporary. El médico está en la consulta. Let's try a few more examples between ser and estar. Alright, so if we wanted to say the boys are intelligent, we could say los muchachos son inteligentes. We use son since it's one of those permanent ones, like ser. Now let's try one with estar. Let's say the boys are in the class. Los muchachos están en la clase. We can see our differences between ser and estar. Now finally we want to recap a little bit. Remember at the beginning of the year we learned how to conjugate verbs. So like I said a few minutes ago, vender means to sell. So let's not forget how to conjugate these. Remember, yo vendo is I sell, tú vendes is you sell, él, ella vende, he and she sells, nosotros vendemos, ellos, ustedes venden. So there was definitely a lot of information we learned this week. Remember, ser versus estar, temporary for estar versus permanent. Go online to Google Classroom too to see a lot of the notes and some practice on there. For that, also keep studying your vocabulary. We studied the right side of the list. That's what we focused on this week. And then finally, remember some of those new verbs. Study those and study the conjugations that we've been working on.